Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lyds, and we're back to break some more thrones, and last time we completed a difficult puzzle. We unlocked the new Kelly multiplayer Gwent card with the animations on it, and also finished the most recent main quest mission. One that I was a little concerned we were going to find was the one in which we were going to discuss things with Bruver, and he probably wasn't going to be terribly pleased with the things that we had done as of late, so thankfully there were no Bruver sightings on this occasion, which means we hopefully still have some time to make it up to him, because we've done one or two things to help win his favor, but then perhaps one or two things more that he might not be too pleased about. So, in terms of what we're planning to do next, our next main quest is, well, all the way over here. And that, requires that we head over this way, round here, and then down like so. So definitely going to be a while before we end up over there. And hopefully that means we still have some time to do a few more things that will get us back in Bruver's good graces. But we shall see. Oh, what is this? Report. My queen, our scouts noticed a glimmer in the eye of the bas-relief sculpture. We could scale it, but our engineers would have to prepare the proper equipment. Though a fall from that height is sure to result in a broken neck. What is your command? Oh man. Looking at the results of this, it's rather telling. So one is, I wish to know what it is. Tell the engineers to get to work. The fact that it costs wood is not so surprising. We need to make the equipment. The fact that we get a card fragment means that we will almost certainly do this. But the fact that it costs 2 recruits does suggest that, perhaps there will be a broken neck or 2 in the process. But we have, of course, stockpiled recruits big time and have not spent a single recruit yet, at least not on any of our cards or anything like that. So in theory, it is the resource that is the most expendable for us right now. And to get a card fragment, I think it is almost certainly worth it. So, we'll do it. And we are getting close to finishing this card. It looks like we just need 1 more fragment. So that is a good sign. See, that was right there. But it looks like we have some kind of village coming up in the near future. Anything down below here? What is the deal? I think we saw that spot previously, but the bridge, of course, over here has been broken. So nothing there. Anything hiding in this corner? Probably not, right where there was that other encounter, right? It was a little obscure in that location. And speaking of resources, we're doing pretty well in that regard at the moment. Haven't spent any resources, any significant quantity of resources in a while. But yeah, this does look like it's a town, and perhaps a town in which we will have something important happening here. Anything we can tell from how these people are going about their business? I can't tell if this person is crying or just trying to warm their hands. I think they're just cold.
Dark clouds hovered over the horizon, and a strong gale snapped their banners.
Damn it, a storm's coming. Gabor, take us to the nearest settlement. We must seek shelter.
Soon, the Lyrians arrived in Stuhlkamp. The town square proved
not the most pleasant of names.
Several dozen dwarves, laden with large sacks and satchels, stood about in smaller groups. When a thick snow began to fall, the dwarves cheered.
Okay.
Tears streamed down the cheeks of several.
Maybe that person was crying.
They issued from some fortuitous occurrence, or if the strong wind had wrung moisture from their eyes.
I mean, this is exactly the question that I was just asking mere moments ago.
What is it we witness? Why do they rejoice at a snowstorm?
Asked Meve, pulling her hood over her head.
Well, the Blizzard's good cause to postpone their expedition by another day.
Gabor responded.
See, they've been conscripted by drawn lots to be settlers. Found homes in a village in Blackbrook Vale. 7 expeditions have gone that way already, and none survived longer than a year. Valley's cursed. No 2 ways about it.
Oh, so basically they've been more or less sent to their death, and it's this might delay that by a day. That's kind of grim.
Intrigued, Meve proceeded to speak with the settlers.
And Meve is intrigued.
He confirmed Gabor's claim. He had buried many a previous colonist. All had been abnormally thin, pale, prematurely greyed, as if some wraith had drawn the lifeblood out of them. Once the dwarf had finished his tale, he gripped the queen's hand firmly, and promising a generous reward, begged that she and her Lyrians accompany the expedition to Blackbrook Valley.
Tain't far. Mere few leagues north along the main road. Will make the march much easier to ken with the whole army, in case of any danger.
I mean, you know we have to, right? There might be an option, but you know we have to.
I know not how useful our swords can be against curses and spectres,
Said Meve.
but leave you bereft and in need I will not. We shall march with you into Blackbrook Vale and see to it that you are safely arrived. Then we will march on.
The dwarf sped off to announce the good tidings to his settler brethren. By the time the blizzard had abated, they were ready to march.
Okay. Are we headed straight over there? Okay, no. But presumably that means they said north of here? Along the path? I mean, is it that spot right there? Or further still? In this area? I mean, for what it's worth, I don't know how much I should read into this, but the coloration of the map is much whiter over here than it is over here. This looks like the greenest spot we've seen. A river running through. I mean, I suppose there is a river here as well, but everything is covered with snow, except maybe not this area here. So is that maybe the spot they're trying to settle? Although for whatever reason, even though it looks like it might be more well-suited for settlement, it just hasn't been working out for them. I don't know. Also, the music has shifted. For sure. Perhaps a little darker. Let's see. We learned of a few things here. A battle, a puzzle, and a point of interest. So yeah, this was at least one of the places where this could potentially be the location in question, or it might be further this direction. Not entirely sure. But good to have those things on the map. And we did just sacrifice some of our recruits, so to get the chance to pick up, what was that, 9 more? That's not bad. There is somebody who it looks like we may want to speak to further up, but first, let's nab the goods. And by that I mean, like, possibly rob these people of all their worldly possessions? Possibly. Mayor's Islets. Is that... I don't think that was the name that they were using before.
Stay clear of Borrow's Rump. Unless you like shale Mars, that is.
Already dealt with it.
The Elder gets a wee stranger every year. Scary to think where he'd be 100 from new.
Oh dear. They also agree that he's not the most normal of people.
I'd cut my beard, but I haven't yet received written permission.
Oh.
The Elder gets a wee stranger every
Okay, looks
year.
like that's all they have to say.
Scary to think where he'd be 100 from new.
Anything here? I mean, there is a pathway down over there, and there are slightly more resources, yes, but there is that other dwarf that we've not yet spoken to. So maybe best that we make a point of speaking to this guy. The person who was initially the one that I wasn't sure about. Are they... He looks like he's cold, he's shivering, he's blown on his hands, rubbing them together. But at the same time, it's like maybe he's crying.
Be bold. Take on challenges, risks even. But before you set out to do anything, buy yourself some proper insurance.
Of what variety?
Always darkest for the dawn. Or when the last candle in the mine goes out. Waiting's painful. Forgetting's painful. But an arse dragged across cinders is the worst kind of suffering.
This guy is not the most positive of people.
Fall down 7 times, get a bait. Then clobber the dunderhead who keeps shoving you.
I mean, that's a little motivational. I suppose that's a little bit better.
Always darkest for the dawn.
Okay.
Or when the last candle in the mine.
Seems like that's all he has to say. Nothing here? Alright, I guess we're on our way then. That almost looks like that's loot, except that it isn't. Same here. Well, that's a harpy of some variety, I would have to believe. This was the loot I was eyeing previously. And that harpy might even be... yeah, probably the closest thing we have to us in terms of encounters now. I believe we are technically, yes, on low morale. I forget how exactly we came about to be in that state. We do still have numerous shrines to get our morale back up. We did kind of save them for this exact purpose, in case we did find ourselves in a tough situation, just looking for that little bit of an edge. Now, we don't know definitively if this battle is going to be really difficult and we absolutely need to have every little advantage we can find, or maybe we can still handle it on low morale. By finishing the battle, we'll get back up to neutral, and then we not only don't spend one or two of these shrines, we also get a free way to neutralize our morale. So that's kind of... we should probably at least attempt it before we use a shrine. There is also a puzzle here. There is also this point of interest, which may or may not be the location in question that we were hearing about previously. Because I thought they said north or maybe northeast, and this is due east, not really northeast of where they were previously. So that seems like... I was kind of expecting someplace to be, more actually northeast. On some occasions, we've made a point of going for puzzles before we've gone for battles. The thought there being that maybe the puzzle might give us a new card or some other type of resource that could assist us in the battles, which these give us a custom deck, which tends to mean it's just a matter purely of execution, whereas the battles use our own deck more often than not. So that means we're more at risk of just being woefully underprepared, which, given how we are on low morale, we have not made many deck upgrades as of late, is probably going to be the more difficult of all these three encounters. The most difficult of all these three encounters, besides the fact that we don't really know what that is. So, I think that's the biggest question, is, do you do that first, or do you... is this the spot where the puzzle is? Oh, hold on. No, that's something else. Okay, let's at least check this out. Guy is some kind of smith. Let's see. Your Majesty, the report is that the local blacksmith, Zdravek Kranmer, is peddling a fragment of a magical runestone of some sort or other. That certainly sounds like that might be something we'd be interested in. Should you collect all the remaining pieces, you'll be able to create a powerful artifact. Or so he claims. What is your decision, milady? Shall we purchase it? 250 gold? I mean, we have a lot of extra gold right now, and we have at least some cards that we just saw. We are very close to finishing, so, I mean, we have to, right? We have to. And it is the one that we just saw. It's Northern Wind, which is, at least in Gwent multiplayer, well, not so surprisingly, a bomb, as it is in The Witcher 3. So the card is now complete. We can find it in the command tent. So that is very nice. I doubt this is going to give us 250, but I'm going to say, like, if this is just a pure refund, no, it's a tenth of the money that we just spent, but still, in order to get an entirely new card, I mean, that's exactly what we were just saying, right, was maybe in preparation for that battle, we can at least see what, if anything, we might be able to do to power ourselves up beforehand. Where is it? Where'd you go? There you are. Northern Wind. Damage all damaged enemies by 4, then damage all enemies by 2. That's pretty strong. It does remind me a lot of a specific card in Gwent multiplayer, that being Wild Boar of the Sea, which similarly does extra damage, or damages every damaged enemy twice, damages every normal enemy just once. But a good finishing move, usually, at least in Gwent multiplayer for that purpose. So it kind of serves a similar function to something like Skull, where Skull probably has a higher top end, where if you do have a ton of units in your graveyard that you can banish, then you get potentially more damage. Although this is specific to one row, whereas this is more of a sure thing At worst, you're getting 2 damage on all enemies, which, I mean, sometimes, in some situations, if enemies have a bunch of armor or whatnot, then might not actually give us much value, but all damage enemies getting hit by 4 in both rows, potentially, if there are enemies in both rows, could be a difference maker as well. So there are some situations in which this would be better than Skull. We've certainly found there are some times where, like, 1-round battles, Skull is basically useless, and so it's been a little tricky at times, although didn't we recently threw in, was it Mandrake, I think was our latest edition, and this one was one that we probably were not as big of a fan of, or at least we didn't really have this as one of our preferred choices, because it's a random bronze unit from our deck and from our opponent's deck, so we don't really know what we're going to get from it, and sure, we might get lucky and get something really good, but you can't really count on that, whereas this is a lot more of a sure thing, and it really seems like, more often than not, the things that we need, more than anything, in a specific encounter it's just damage. You know, there's one specific enemy, or a group of enemies that you need to take out in order to get your guaranteed win, or you can just outscore them, yes, but it is a nice thing to have. It's just guaranteed damage, so I think we might throw this straight in. And I mean, the easiest replacement would be to say this is just basically a more reliable, but potentially not quite as powerful in the best case scenario version of Skull. Or you could say Mandrake, at best, is a dice roll. Sometimes you're going to luck out, other times you're not. I'm leaning toward going that way, because as I said, I think damage is usually, more than anything, the thing that we're looking for. It's very rare that there are times when we would not benefit from additional damage. They do happen on rare occasions, but it is not often. So I think that is definitely a good pickup, and for sure worth the 250 gold, or, 224 after we picked up that little bit of loot as well. So then that leaves us with, I mean, we did get a little bit of a buff from that, and so we could hop into this battle with a little more power, or we could proceed on this way and see what the deal is with this puzzle and maybe get stronger still before going into this battle. We would likely still be on low morale, even after finishing this puzzle, because puzzles do not neutralize or reset our morale. But is there an actual village further to the right, or is this just another pathway? I mean, there's a little more resources. Definitely a village down below. Maybe we do try this for now, while we're in the area. What is the deal? Usually when we encounter a puzzle, it's a monster of some variety, not some presumably normal citizen. Let's see. Anything else we can do in the area before we speak with you? Nothing we can loot here? We can't steal whatever this is that you're hanging up? Is this a brewery? Might be a brewery. It definitely is a brewery. Like, that just feels really weird. Walking up to this dwarf guy, and then suddenly it looks like we're fighting him, possibly to the death. Headstrong. I guess we'll take him on. Gascon always had something to boast, that there was no other as handsome as he, that no other had his talent for juggling, and that, well, the list goes on. Other soldiers simply rolled their eyes and ignored him. However, once, during a stop at a brewery, as anticipated, Gascon proclaimed he could hold his ale better than any dwarf. This had crossed the line for Gabor Zigrin, who promptly pulled a mug from his saddlebag. Finish your cold ale before Gabor does? Oh man, that is cool. Okay, so it is a puzzle. Special rules, 1 round, and a custom deck. This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really interesting. Okay, I'm curious to see how this plays out. Okay, just 1 round. Finish your cold ale before Gabor does. How does this work? It's Gascon. We are Gascon versus Gabor. Gabor drunkard. Gascon drunkard. Hey, hold on. He has an advantage. 22 versus 25. Let's see what the deal is. First to finish this card is the champion. What's the deal here? Every turn on turn start, take 3 swigs of cold ale. Does Gascon only take 1? Use 1 charge to take 1 swig of cold ale. Charge 1. If you took more swigs than you have gawkers during the round, Gain 1 Gawker? What the heck? Hold on. What's going on here? Sudsy Inspiration. I also like that in Gwent multiplayer, this is like a pretty big card, Renew. And here it's just totally different context. On this turn, each charge use allows 2 swigs of ale instead of 1. Okay, so it sounds like we want to load up on charges, and then this is our finisher of sorts. Split Splash, give each competitor 1 charge. Okay, so we like gonna load up on the charge for everyone, and then we go, haha, take this, Gabor. You're just going 1 chug per turn, whereas we're gonna go Sudsy Inspiration, double down at the very end. Fortitude Tonic, absorb an ally's charges, then after 1 turn on turn start, give them all back. Wait, what? An additional 2 charges? This also seems like something we're finishing with. I'm just not clear what the charges. What? Charges from which? That would mean Gascon. This is not a charge. This is a timer. Or at least in Gwent multiplayer, this would count as a timer, and this would count as a charge. So if we're absorbing all of Gascon's charges, then after 1 turn start, giving them all back, I think that means it's just basically load up on as many charges as possible with the split splashes first. Then it's absorb all the charges of this, basically multiply all of our charges by 2. So do that once and then do it twice, and then at the very end, make every charge count for multiple consumptions of this beverage. Now, I don't know if in the meantime, Gabor is going to outpace us, and we might need to expedite the process and start this process early, or are we quite literally, or are we legitimately going to have enough time to play every single card before Gabor finishes off his cold ale? I'm not sure, but let's try. Okay. Wait, what? Oh, did we lose? Okay, I'd assumed that we... What is this Gawker? Like, give Gus... Oh, okay. Admittedly, I totally should have read that. I totally saw that it was Gawker here on the card, and I just assumed it was going to be one of the cards in our hand, and then I read through all the cards in our hand, and none of them were Gawkers. I was like, oh, that's weird. I wonder what the deal is with that. I also totally assumed we were going to maintain charges in between rounds, and we did not. Okay, so that probably means we've already messed up, but it's like, if we do this, technically, I guess you should go 1 at a time, because then you get more Gawkers. You do that, then you can build up the Gawkers. Then you do, yeah, okay, so the Gawkers are basically how you increase Gascon's base charges, right? Give Gascon 1 charge for every 2 Gawkers, eventually. Okay, so we've probably already messed this up, because I didn't really know what I was doing on the first turn there. Is this still going to be sufficient? Are we still going to outpace Gabor? That I'm not as sure of. Okay, so now these count for 2, but I don't think that's going to be enough, even with that being said. Okay, so notably, yeah, Gabor is presumably, I think, going to finish all those charges, right? Because he could use all those charges on his next turn, because he can finish. I mean, obviously, using the Fortitude Tonic before we use that one that makes all of our charges count for 2 would have been more efficient, but I assumed that Gabor's going to finish the job next turn. Yeah, okay, hold on. I messed up on the first turn, because I ignored the Gawkers. So what we should do first is that, and then that, but we don't, I still don't get, I guess, yeah, that's also technically a mistake then, I suppose. Should have used that remaining charge. I should have remembered from last time that even in that circumstance, we weren't going to carry over charge in between rounds. It was just because we had additional Gawkers that was happening to us previously. So yeah, the way this works is quite simple, really. But we're not gonna get an additional Gawker, are we? Yeah, did we miss out on a Gawker when we messed that up on the previous turn? That might be the case, because we also only get one base charge when we... Well... We could do this on this turn, and that would, next turn, allow us to get a Gawker. Maybe that's worth doing? Not really the order of operations I was expecting, but it is now enough. 4 gives us a Gawker, but we still should use all these charges because we're only going to get back up to, 4 with our 4 Gawkers next turn anyway, and we don't really get any carryover. Oh, we also didn't do this. So now we do that. Oh, except Gabor's going to win this turn. Oops. Okay, still doing silly things. And what appears to be, mathematically speaking, so really, it's gameplay-wise, really, really simple. So, hold on. Hold on a second here. Yes, technically, we only were using 1 charge was all we needed to get the Gawker, but again, as we've said many times before, if we don't do it, we're gonna just miss out on getting a charge. So, I mean, is it really this simple when we actually play it properly, is the question. Or does it actually require some strategery to prevent Gabor from getting those last 3 charges? Possibly. Possibly. So now, like, here's the thing. On this turn, but do we actually go with an odd sudsy inspiration here, which would be just enough for us to get another Gawker on our next turn? Seems kind of strange, but that might actually be the play. It's a little bit different than what I expected. That doesn't count? Hold on. It's technically... Technically, I read the fine print wrong in that case. If you took more swigs than you have Gawkers, gain 1 Gawker. It's not that we took 4 swigs, it's that we took 2 swigs that counted as 4 rounds. So, okay, in that case, it didn't work. That's, okay. In that case, that is a misplay. As is that, honestly. But that counted? That was enough? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. And now he's gonna win on his next turn anyway, so... Yeah, we clearly... It is not quite as straightforward, even with our misplays here, as it might have initially seemed. Because Gabor just has this... Just keeps on getting that one last turn in. We need 1 more turn. He always has 3 charges with 3 left. Because the Swift Splash, as a reminder, is of course making Gabor stronger as well. So that doesn't really help us in some cases. Like on this first turn, all we need to do is this. And that's enough to spawn in the Gawker. We don't technically need you yet. Does this count for Gabor as well? I assumed that it only counted for us, but that might actually count for Gabor as well. I admittedly did not look to see if that was the case. Yes, the thing is, like, we actually don't really have a great play in turn 1, because Swift Splash, as we established previously, he is technically overkill, but then if we absorb all of our... I mean, we could drink and then use a Fortitude Tonic that does nothing. Or Sudsy Inspiration that does nothing, but those feel like wastes. Let's try it. Let's try it. So it should still give us this. Now, once again, we're in overkill territory. Unless... Okay, hear me out here. 1, 2, enough for the for us to get another Gawker, and then we absorb these charges once again, benefit here. And then we can go do 5 charges, which is pretty solid. So if we do this, then we are getting pretty solid benefit out of that as well. Now, it is, I had thought, going to be something that we were going to save when we have a bunch of Gawkers, but it is going to be, once again, overkill for generating another Gawker. Just need to do 3. Maybe we do this nonetheless. See, on our next turn, if we get that third Gawker, it means we need 4 on our next turn. We're going to start with the base 1, 2, 3 if we do this, so that's not enough. But then again, none of these things can get us a 4th Gawker, I suppose. I'm not sure we're ever going to get more than 5 charges at this point. So I think we do this. Okay, so notably, does this go down by 3 or does it go down by 6? Does it count for Gabor as well as us? No, it does not. It does not. Okay. So now, yeah, here's the thing, is that this, from here on out, it's going to always be the same number of charges. Ooh. The Gabor is getting that we are getting. We technically do have a 1 charge lead here, but with Gabor's base charge consumption better than ours, he is going to pass us. I still don't think that's going to work. Unless we potentially end up tying him here. Ooh. Wait, why did we... We didn't do that many, did we? Well, anyways, I think we might have this, because he's not going to finish it on his next turn, whereas... Or, at least not on this turn. Whereas we now will. Technically, we didn't need that, but... There you have it! It's weird. At first, I thought it was super simple and straightforward. It was all just about maximizing your total number of charges, but no. It was more about pacing it such that you can pass Gabor, because otherwise he will finish before you've done all of your setup. And that means that we've gotten a new card, Mahakamail. This card has been added to your army and can be found in the command tent. That is what we were hoping to do, was potentially make ourselves a little bit stronger by picking up, in this case, another new card. So hopefully that means that if we do find that that battle a little bit further to the south is difficult, then we have 2 more tools in our toolbox to help make that work.
I can't believe it. Gascon, he drank a dwarf under the table.
I've said it before, I think, dear Reynard. You simply underestimate him.
Gascon. I mean, that is saying something for sure. That's impressive stuff from Gascon. You gotta give him credit. But let's see what the deal is with this Mahakamail. Is it good enough to warrant inclusion in our deck? What does it do? Every turn on turn end, boost a random ally on each row by 2. Huh. Oh, it's an... Hold on. It's not a trinket. It would replace Scepter of Storms. Scepter of Storms is worth 2 points per turn with damage. Mahakamail can actually be worth 4 points per turn. If we have units in both rows at least, although it's boosting rather than damage, and as we said previously, oftentimes damage is the key. We prefer that over boosting because there are many encounters in which the objective is you must destroy this specific target, or it's, I mean, you can outscore them, or you can destroy this specific target for a guaranteed win, and sometimes that's the route that we choose to go for. Now, it is technically worth twice as many points in this case. This is a random allied unit, whereas one thing that has at times made things difficult with Scepter of Storms is that this specifically targets the lowest enemy. And, of course, more often than not, if we have some kind of key encounter where we're trying to defeat a specific boss-like enemy, they're probably not going to be the lowest powered enemy, so it does take quite a bit of setup for Scepter of Storms to be at least targeting our preferred unit in that case. I mean, there are probably still benefits to be had from destroying the weaker enemies, although sometimes even that has come back to bite us a bit when we saw some Death Wish units with some of the Harpies that we encountered previously. So, I could see a case for either of them. I think it's definitely a very nice luxury to have to either, depending on the situation. In this case, if you need damage, go with Scepter of Storms, or in other cases, if you just want total points, then Mahakamail is actually worth a little bit more, or can be worth a little bit more. So, maybe we'll stick with Scepter of Storms for the time being. But this, we will definitely keep an eye out for opportunities to break this out, because there are some situations in which this will definitely be better than Scepter of Storms, make no mistake. So I like it. Definitely a good pickup, for sure. And as we were saying, pretty impressive stuff from Gascon, able to outdrink a dwarf. That is saying something. But with that being said, I think this is a good place for us to wrap up here. Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.